this, I mean, we don't really know exactly who this tablet's written by.
No, we haven't a clue, and none of that matters. It was just some dude. It was some dude.
Some dude.
In Azeroth. We can assume they're talking about a Tauren or a Troll because they were the primal races that the old gods landed and went, yo, what's the crack, lads? Because we know they predate that, at least.
Oh, I feel
because
like I'm gonna need to be beveraged.
Yeah, because the way the Shoe Hello works is obviously they were there. The Eye of the Earth Mother story says they were there before the corruption happened and the outside force came in. So they were there for ages ago. So, remember the ancient one? It's not the one in Hearthstone. It's definitely not.
Yeah.
Because that just seems like a fucking dude. But if I'm trying to, I mean, maybe it is, but an ancient one. This isn't one of the ancient ones. This isn't one of our masters. This is the ancient one. Its hunger is endless. Where have we heard endless hunger from before? That's interesting. That's not a current plot point at all, is it? I haven't heard anyone talk about the endless hunger, or I haven't seen any of our antagonists put the endless hunger from Galakron into a Void Soul recently. I haven't seen that happen in a cutscene in the recent patch.
Well,
not in the slightest. Yeah, you see where I'm
I don't
going
see
here.
what. Okay, I've seen the like footsteps that lead me to a path
Yes, you have.
that you're a few meters ahead. Or, no, you're like a mile ahead of me on.
Yes, I hope so anyway. So, each one. There were 5 old gods. Remember, how did the old gods feel about each other?
Well, it was a little bit more like the great game in Warhammer, where they basically all the old gods fought each other for control. It was all just like endless madness and power games, everyone having plans within plans and that sort of thing. The thing that changed that in our timeline is Aman'Thul ripping Yasharj out of the earth in such a way that Yasharj was essentially pretty much instantly destroyed. That caused the remaining, so we thought, 3 old gods to make a pact where they would work with each other. As an example, whenever the branches of Nordrassil came up to the prison of Yogg-Saron was like, oh, Emerald Nightmare. Tell you what, though, I'll give it to my friend Nigel over there, because he's better at that sort of thing. And therefore, N'Zoth ends up being the one that does most of the Emerald Nightmare corruption, even though the roots went to Yogg-Saron's prison.
Vordrassil, not Nordrassil.
Vordrassil.
Vordrassil was the...
that would be some friggin' journey. Yes, Nordrassil.
Yeah, so that was...
Of course, is the tree that we go to in Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
And it's really... God, Grizzly Hills is such a nice zone. Anyway.
No, Ashendon, the ancient one will not be Xalato in this story. I mean, no, I don't think so. I think that was just the name of the weapon. Anyway, so what would happen to 5 of gods, right? They're the okay. Well, 5.
And the reason why we say 5, just so because I don't know if we talk about this anymore, and just so we're not it's just so we're not assuming that they have the same knowledge that we do. There was this book called The Old Gods and the Ordering of Azeroth, right? Now, in vanilla, according to it, there were 5 old gods. At a point in time, Blizzard actually updated and retconned it by saying there was only 4 old gods. Of course, the ones that we know of, Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, Yasharj, and N'Zoth. However, more recently in the game, The Forbidden Reach, a copy of The Old Gods and the Ordering of Azeroth is found in Neltharion, that's Deathwing, in his private collection. And Blizzard used the original text, not the retconned text. And the sort of the conceit of this is that it's his own personal copy of the book, and he's like written notes in the margins of the different pages. So that is kind of telling us, okay, no, there actually were 5 old gods. Blizzard could have just lifted the existing version of the book that is in game, but instead they seemingly either went to their old repository, or they went to Wowhead and literally copy the original text and put it in. Not exactly sure which. Point being, though, 5 old gods now appears to be the new canon. Now, there are times we speculated about this in the past. There is text in the artifact knowledge notes for the Shadow Priest in Legion that had many people, including me, speculating that Xal'atath herself may be a fragment of some sort of old god. There was, theories about maybe Xal'atath was like destroyed and imprisoned in the blade. There are all other theories as well. Like there's a theory about her being like a talon of Yasharj or something. Those are different theories. The point is, we do at this stage think there are 5 old gods, and this seemingly, Matt, leads you to the Battle of Catanth, something we heard about 8 years ago.
Not just yet, because there's little bits of thing that I noticed that you haven't been caught up on with. Well, first of all, Xal'atath could be the fifth old god in this version. She could be the Ancient One. She could be a lot of things. We haven't quite figured that just out yet, but I just immediately saw a path for that to work. But the thing is, the old gods in the Ordering of Azeroth, we were like, okay, it's interesting that this book came up out of nowhere because it's not available in game anymore. And you know what? You know where it is?
Scar Vaults.
No. You know where the original is?
Oh, it's in Ironforge. There's not an Ironforge in the little museum.
It's in a lot of places, but the original version is now actually in the game. In new content that was added recently. It's lying on a table in Old Skullamads. Which I think is possibly inconsequential, but very interesting that they added content that originally has the 5 Old Gods book back in.
Smart.
If intentional, that's really smart, and I really enjoyed it.
I like that.
Because that was like Old Skullamads was archived, and they brought it back just wholesale as it was, but then added the Scourgestone drops. So it's like they just added it, and I was going through that for like the video, and I saw the book. I went, oh my god, I can't believe it. But anyway, the Ancient One. So, Old Gods, they're fighting. And I just thought, why do they lose? They lose because they're fighting. The Titans come down, Terror charge out, fight the shit out of them. Okay. And then you think, well, just kind of putting different ideas together. What would happen if they weren't fighting? Why would there be one of them left? Oh, what if one wins? What if the reverse of the Warlands happens? What if the Ancient One is actually the one remaining old god that controls all of Azeroth?
And this is thousands of years in the future.
Because the Black Empire's got a long time. This could be the current day and still be however many thousands of years of Black Empire.
That's the thing. In these different timeways,
there's no indication that we're going in at our current point. I assume that unless otherwise, but with Varian being grey, we seem to be able to hop back and forward a little bit. So I'm assuming this could be at any time, but there's no evidence of the Ancient One being like or one old god becoming more, unless it's like one old god. But whatever. My assumption is this is like the way I'm trying to narrativize this in a way that I think Blizzard might be doing if they wish to, or were so inclined to tease us things, because I could just I could immediately say none of this makes any sense and it's all over, and then that wouldn't be very fun. Anyway, moving on. The battle for Cthulhu. Whispers from Xal'atath in Legion when visiting the Broken Shore said a lot of things about things that happened way before our era of time. And we know that the current lead narrative designer, Stephen Izzard, loves himself a couple of whispers. So what are the chances that the current narrative design leads were a lot of the people doing the stuff with the old gods in Xal'atath and Legion, because they did all the Azal stuff as well? What if they were given the freedom to lead into this and plan their future and drop a little bits of everything here and there all over the place? What if they were doing that in Legion? Well, it would line up that this actually does come forward, because obviously Il'gynoth in Emerald Nightmare literally talked about Nyalotha. We went there in the next expansion. We fought the same fucking guy again in the expansion. It keeps going. So she talked all the stuff about this is when the Broken Shore, this is the fell edifice, pales in compassion the grandeur of it stood here long ago. Just saying Black Empire kicked ass and you're all losers, basically. But talks about the shadow of an ancient war that predated infinite armies clashed in ceaseless battle. I don't believe these lands have seen such carnage since the battle for Cthulhu, such a long time ago. It was here in ages past that the god of the deep, that's N'Zoth, lost a great battle to the god of 7 heads, that's Isharge. But as was often the case, even defeat ultimately worked in N'Zoth's favor. So, battle for Cthulhu. What's Cthulhu? Is it a place? Probably. It seems like a place based in this context.
Yeah. It's like their name.
Yeah. It seems like.
Yeah.
But then battle for Azeroth. Azeroth's the place. Azeroth's also a person.
Yeah.
Interesting. Think about that. Zal'Kyr the Chosen, the rare that was recently added into in and around the Tearhold Reservoir, wherever he pops out of a time rift from Azeroth, and is named the Maw of Cthulhu. Could still be a place. Could be a person.
Could be a nation.
Could be a nation.
Faction. Could
be a lot of things. So.
And if you think about it, it's all very mono, right?
Yeah.
The nation of N'Zoth, the nation of whatever. So Cthulhu. I have a feeling what you're getting at is Cthulhu is a dude.
Theoretically, I think Cthulhu could be this 5th old god. Because the battle for Cthulhu, what do the old gods do to each other? They ate each other when they won, right? That's what they were all doing. They're
Consume.
eating stuff. They're consuming. They're eating. This person was all... This ancient one was endlessly hungry. So then you think, and now this is where it diverges into a couple different possibilities. Who's been talking about the endless hunger? Our good friend Eridicron.
Yes.
What happened to the endless hunger? Our good mate Galacron was a very hungry boy.
Glad you have such a positive relationship with them all.
Good, decent lads. Like once you get over the villainy, they're good boys.
You gotta get to know them first.
Yeah. So in this timeline, the ancient endless hunger that seems to be all consuming is attached to the ancient one. What is Galacron, or what is Eridicron doing with the endless hunger essence of Galacron?
He has put it into kind of like a void equivalent of the Dragon Soul, which I suppose means an object purpose-made to harness that immense amount of power. He has taken that through a portal to seemingly give to the Harbinger, which, as we've discussed in previous videos, yeah, that video has came out, could be Xal'atath, could also be Ashara, and yeah, that's what he's done. Now, he has said, or at least implied, that will be the key for sort of prying the Titans' prize away from them and to his side, which of course is Azeroth. So whatever it is, he feels it's powerful enough to win the battle for Azeroth.
So do you think that endless hunger and this endless hunger could be the same?
They're endless hungers that have a void relationship in the deep past.
Sure, sounds reasonable.
And I mean, if you think about like who created proto-drakes, old gods. Who created Shuhalo, old gods.
Well, not
Likely?
no, the Shuhalo were definitely there before all gods, according to Azeroth's
No,
mother.
they were. Sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Nah, that's okay. What fleshy Shuhalo is what I should have meant. Is what I should have said.
Potentially, we're not sure
Yes.
if the
This
curse of
is
flesh may have the Shuhalo, because the Fell Touch Shuhalo were clearly like living Torrens. Maybe they were just using an ancestor's name. It seems that there may have been flesh life on Azeroth before the old gods appeared. That seems to be the case, but obviously they liked that, so they were happy to continue that.
At the very least, we know that dragons were elemental creatures, and therefore it is implied that the true makers of the dragons are, in fact, not the Titans who uplifted them, but the old gods who made them not be pebbles anymore.
Either that or they were entirely natural. They could
Yeah.
definitely swing it both ways. But,
Yeah.
But ultimately, endless hunger. So this endless hunger is seemingly, it belonged to the victor that won the battle royale for old gods and was strong enough to seemingly single-handedly kick the Titans off Azeroth because they just couldn't fight him, couldn't fight the world. There's a possibility the Ancient One and the hunger is actually Azeroth herself, as pointed out in chat there a while ago. And it could be sacrificing to Azeroth in the sense of the Well of Eternity hungers and you keep throwing stuff into it because it's bleeding out. There's that possibility.
If Azeroth is like already turned by the time the Titans arrive, and then just gone.
Wins because she's super strong.
Yeah.
Basically, that could be another possibility. But the way I think of it is Xal'atath seemed to be a bit kind of not all that powerful or useful and seemed to be split. And all the tease of being a part of an old god. What if that hungering essence was hers? What if she was the Ancient One? What if she was the fifth old god that lost the battle and was put into a black blade? Because they haven't mentioned the black blade or the blade of the Black Empire, have they? Hang on, never mind, the black blade of Catan. That's interesting.
Blade of Catan.
Yeah, now black blade's not anything special, but it is literally a thing they just did. They did just say it, so of course you're going to say it. And I'm reading every single line with intentionality here because I think that's really
I'm
fun.
going to bring up the artifact knowledge research notes.
So there's a couple of like finessing this into a final genuine point, but we are here at the end of the story where it blossoms into different potentialities, where the potentialities are Xal'atath's the Ancient One, and will become the Ancient One once again, once refed with her hungering essence. Or there was a fifth old god this belonged to, maybe called Catan, maybe lived in Catan, maybe something along those lines. Anything like that could be the case. And you're sat there going, well, okay, well, what's this essence going to do? And maybe that infinite hunger was what actually won in the end. Now, there is another point to this which I find is fascinating. And it's Xal'atath, Catan. Yeah, I can see that, Ascendant. There's definitely some
Okay, so this is from Xal'atath, Blade of the Black Empire Part 1. Xal'atath had its dark genesis in an age long before the Horde Alliance, an age when legendary old gods and their Black Empire engulfed the world in shadow. There are many theories concerning the Blade's creation. The more outlandish claim, it is all that remains of a forgotten old god who was consumed by its kin in the earliest days of the Black Empire. Other theories state Xal'atath is the claw of... Is it Yesharj? Kind of...
It's Yasharaj, I believe.
Yesharaj, okay.
It's definitely a charge, but it's literally Yasharaj.
Oh, do you mean like it's spelt to be Yesharj, even though it...
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I read it as Yasharj, and I'm right all the time, but Blizzard say Yasharaj. In the same way, Blizzard also say Nazjatar. Yes.
Nazjatar. Nazjatar is the weirdest thing. That actually may be the goofiest thing they've done this whole time. Yeah. It actually, for me, it is up there on whenever I was listening to the Instance podcast way back in the day, and I just remember people saying, the Howling Fjord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, yes, other theories state that Xal'atath is a claw of Yesharaj, ripped from the old god's monstrous form and bestowed upon its servants for use in ritual sacrifice. As unbelievable as these stories are, perhaps there is truth to them. Xal'atath pulses with the foul essence of the old gods. It is even said that the blade can grant its owner visions of the Black Empire, but all who have looked upon such horrors have lost themselves to its madness.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
There's a lot of potential.
I just had a content idea.
Have you?
Sometimes
I'll be first.
So YouTube channel Shrouded Hand. Sometimes I listen to it. I'm going to bed. Just a man with a nice, calming, relaxing voice talking about the most gnarly murder shit you can think of. Oh, I could do like a reading of things. Because I know I'd enjoy that. If I just had like a nice reading of like the artifact knowledge. Ooh, and then people could fall asleep to it. Sorry, that's a total tangent. Anyhow, there we go. That's the 2016 era lore that I think definitely supports Matt's claim.
Yeah, so I don't know how true any of this is going to turn out, but this is how I've read all this. This is everything that, like, I've threaded all of this timeline.
No, she's
stuff
the Mojo
together.
back.
I've told all this
So
stuff
she's
together.
the harbinger of the actual Void Gods.
Or she's the harbinger of her fucking self as a fake out, as a mislead. She's a harbinger of her true self because she's going to eat that juicy disc of void and just kill us all, or maybe not.
Oh, it's like big communion.
Big communion,
Eat
yeah.
the big communion.
She will eat the blood of. She will eat the body of Christ and become infinite void god, maybe. But you know, it's very difficult to get to the right spot of what this actually means because it's really speculative.
Oh yeah, we're in Goofland here.
Yeah, but I hope I've at least devise something that is at least a compelling read of these. Then it comes to the point that the Ancient One won and was likely the fifth old god, because none of the other, and that's the other part I meant to bring up, none of the old gods that we know have displayed anything considering anything like a hunger. N'Zoth was smart, and he was the cunning, he was the clever, he was god of the deep. Yasharaj was involved in the Shah. He was emotion. He was that real rage and fury and pride and greed. He was all of those. Obviously, you say, well, but gluttony's probably not, but not in game, realistically, because the pandas ate and drank and got fat, so clearly gluttony wasn't a problem over there. Then Yogg-Saron was the god of death. And Maw is close to him because it was the 1,000 Maws or whatever else, but he was the all those things, but he was kind of hungry for souls. But he didn't seem the person who would eat skin or flay or torture. He was just, I'm the god of death, blah, 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 blah.
Crispy skin.
Yeah, and Cthulhu was insect boy. Big eye. A big eye doesn't have a balmy dead of a mouth, but he's a big eye more than anything else. So I think that's the thing where I think this was something new. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and Yasharaj was the deadly sins. But yeah.
God, of course.
Yeah. Did you not recognize that?
No, I did. It's just, the seven. Yeah, of course.
Any mop players but yes. So I feel like this is a different person, but it's also close to something else. It's close to an additional fifth old god. With all the fifth old god stuff coming back up, it feels like if I were to, if this were a mystery novel, I would be saying this is the answer at the end of it. Now, could they say something completely different? Absolutely. No problem. And that would just be It's just a Ancient One eats lots and ruled the world, beat the Titans, and that's why Azkaroth existed as the way it does. And let's not think about how when you go to the fight, it's the N'Zoth fight. Because that was just a reuse of the carapace.
So I think as we kind of draw this back into thing. Oh yes, by the way, should say I think Blizzard confirmed that the whole 5th Old God and the margins of Chronicle, I was just an art goof.
Blizzard did not confirm that, the artist did.
The artist was like, oh, no, this is cool shape, dude.
just drew stuff.
Just had some fun with lines. Sorry, I was on so much acid I couldn't even remember. Which maybe that person was, because that was a really sick piece of art.
It is good.
Man, Chronicle's gorgeous. So, what this then means, is that on the world of Azeroth, the sort of corporeal forms of the old gods are in an interesting position. So, N'Zoth is basically, he's been yoked back home into the plane of the void. As Danuzer basically was like, oh, where do their souls go when they die?
They go into the...
Soul hole.
No, they go into the Blade of the Black Empire that Wrathion still has. Did Blizzard forget about that when they did the 10.1 story?
Did I forget about that when I did the dropped storylines video?
Yes.
Episode 2, coming right up.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there's quite a lot there. But basically, it's kind of weird because they insinuated that Yogg-Saron was a bit active all the way back in the pre-Dalaran goes, woo, and we all fucking cream ourselves in joy at the start of Legion. What a fun time that was.
I imagine that was supposed to tie into the Nightmare in some class and didn't.
Probably, yes, because, yeah. So
I love drop storylines. There's 47 of them every patch.
that might be it. Yeah, because the idea of... Okay, at this stage, as much as a lot of me would like to be all like, but back in Wrath, they said there was a connection. I have a feeling now that any storylines furthering Yogg-Saron in a way that could have him... No, but... Right. So, with the Old Gods, there's 3 that we could have fought. Cthulhu, we just poked his eye and he had to slither back away. Yeah. I know that Cho'Gall wanted to kind of resurrect him again in Cataclysm and he failed. But does that mean that he's dead? Like, I don't think it means that he's dead. Because the whole thing about the Old Gods actually is... and if you've ever seen the Mystery Flesh Pit National Park, it's a cool little... You know those, like, cool, like, made-up little art projects? I'd recommend looking at... There's a good Wendigoon video on the Mystery Flesh Pit. But it's kind of the idea that, like, the actual bulk of these old gods are these horrible fucking quivering masses deep below the earth. And I always thought the idea was that we only killed, and it was always the canon, I think, that we only killed outgrowings of the old gods. Squashed them back in.
That was always the canon, yeah.
Now,
we never killed them.
Other than N'Zoth.
Other than N'Zoth, because we blasted him with the Azeroth canon.
Now that does kind of mean that there are 2 old gods that are still chilling, somehow.
They're all fair game.
They are, yeah.
They're fair game in a way that if they don't talk about them for, like, 4 expansions, that's fine. But they could also at any point in time say, by the way, they're still alive.
Yeah, I suppose they...
Woo!
Illidan was multiple 4 expansions divorced from TBC off the top of my head?
It was.
4? TBC,
yeah, it was 2.
to Wrath, to Cataclysm. Yeah, 4. 3, 4, 5, 6,
Wrath,
9.
Cataclysm is what?
Oh,
5.
5.
Yeah, from 2 to 7.
2 to 7. God, there's been a lot of expansions.
That
So
sure has, yeah, we're coming on 11. 11?
yeah, it's like normally if that happens, it's a game with yearly expansions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're just old. So, what does this overall mean then? As for the resurrection of existing old gods, like in my head, right? See if a crazy void thing's happening. Do you know what it would be? It would be that, and if it is going to be some sort of invasion thing, so this is me thinking, okay, so what would we have? What's in our void play box? I would say that anything with Medivh and Medan, we maybe don't do with
Medan,
the void.
no.
Because technically, Blizzard actually confirmed the Medan, like the 404 thing's a joke. Medan is still a canon character. The only thing that they decanonized is that Medan was Guardian. So,
yeah, so
I
that's
imagine
a good point because...
if Medan comes back, because Medivh... so technically, Medivh and Medan are both in a cosmic adventure. Whatever the hell they're doing. I don't think they'd bring them back. So overall, if you think about void-related forces with Azeroth, you have a big invasion of the Void dudes, the Void Ethereals, right? Now, the question is, are they working for the, Void with a big V? Because old gods are like manifestations and agents of Void with a big V. The whole thing is that old gods were kind of like, the Zerg big meaty flesh pod things in StarCraft that like the Zerg just get thrown across the galaxy in like to another planet and they just fucking crash land. Man, some of those StarCraft cinematics were so damn cool. Anyway, the old gods basically spread about like that, quite a physical way. They literally rain down from the sky. Of course, if this was a Japanese game, it would be way cooler, because actually what would have happened is the old god would have crashed into the moon, and then we would have got a moon expansion, like we would have got on How to Kill Monsters and Influence People, a game that we cancelled. Moment of silence for that. Anyway, so capital V Void is going to be doing stuff with those ethereals, perhaps with Xal'atath. Yeah, because Xal'atath is clearly not work. Xal'atath clearly does not like N'Zoth and co. Makes a deal with him, but I don't think they're besties.
It seems like
she's got her own end.
She was maybe on the back foot, and then we allowed her enough leverage to be on the upside, and she claimed that position and freed herself to go. Yeah. Now, it's interesting because you could talk about N'Zoth's actual, like, his own leverage, his own plans in part of this, because if he's a big smart boy, then he wouldn't let her free for any reason if she was really horribly terrifying.
Because remember us seeing N'Zoth confirm the time. Whenever we go back in time, we confirm to N'Zoth the timeline that he's in.
Yeah, so he knew he was going to die to us, which means he let Xal'atath go for a reason, probably, which is getting many, many, many layers deep into different characters' motivations and how things will pan out. And I don't really like thinking about it, so I'm going to stop right now.
No, it's okay. All it means is N'Zoth knows that whatever Xal'atath is about to do is good for him.
Yeah.
Now, that in itself is interesting. Yes! It is interesting! I should probably fill all of you in on why.
Please do.
Right. Ashara betrayed N'Zoth.
She did.
Ashara and Xal'atath probably aren't in the same team. If what Xal'atath is doing is something N'Zoth is okay with happening.
Ashara's going to show up with all the power from Zerath and kill Xal'atath, and then be like, sweet, job done.
Yeah, so then our situation is Big V and Old Gods. Big V being Void Gods, so the thing outside of reality that we've long known about, and the sort of things that are working, with or for or whatever them. And then, yeah, the more terrestrial interests, which are going to be Old God related ones, which will be Iridikron, Xal'atath, and our current existing Old Gods. And I guess they'll have a disagreement. There you go. The end.
Perfect.
Might not. I don't know. That's all that I can sort of wring out of it. And I guess through all of this, probably Iridikron's going to have some mad Jawed Man and Gambit, and we'll probably kill him.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an issue with
unless they do a rug pull, and they keep Iridikron for later.
I hope not, but I'll explain why.
Do you know what's weird, right? I half hope not, but I also half hope so. And I only say that because if Iridikron was to exist for a few expansions, it would be kind of cool, because he's one of the few villains that's actually been a proper hit.
Yep, that's all perfectly fine. And this is like me kind of a little bit meta again, but if Ian says, you know who the last expansion boss is when you beat the raid, and the big guy who comes out and almost hits is Iridikron, and there's no other context, and then Iridikron's not the last boss of the raid, then that means one of two things. Ian is a liar, which he is anyway, because Siege of Orgrimmar is going to be the next Time Walking raid, when he said he would consider Throne of Thunder because it's better. So, liar. Also, it's probably because they wanted to bring the heirlooms back, which is cool and fine and normal. But the other thing is that it implies that they're willing to go, oh my god, people like Iridikron! Quick! Change the final boss! Which, as a concept, I like the reactivity, but I also would like them to go, we have a vision and it's good.
Well, yes, that's the thing.
As opposed to...
You come from the realm of Ishikawa's plan is fantastic.
Yeah.
Take me on it.
Yeah, I think I would rather them not fall into the trap of not having any spine, because I would have a different opinion a year ago. I trust them creatively a bit more now, but I also want them to have to rewrite, because a rewrite's gonna be worse.
Okay, yeah.
When has a hasty rewrite ever been better?
Would you have rather
basically?
got Fan for Stick, the overly, I don't know, graphic, violent movie that was it your man, whatever the original filmmaker wanted to make, or would you rather the Fan for Stick that the studio chopped up?
Was that the one with the your man played Doctor Doom? It was really good.
Yeah, it's the one with the cool Doctor Doom.
Oh yeah, the one that had all the hallmarks of being a really good movie and inexplicably was fucking horrible for some reason.
Yeah, I remember like Kate Maro's in it because I first knew that she existed because of House of Cards, and then that happened. Or it's like, at least with the Schneider cut, at least that feels like some dude's vision, other than the mulch that was the Justice League that they did. Not
exactly.
that not that I really like the superhero movies, but I think the point still stands.